So let's have a little chat, shall we? This will be a quick video. I just wanted to come through and talk about something. I was listening to something or someone the other night, and they sparked something inside of me, made me think about something, and then I got a spiritual channel about something. And I was sharing this with a friend of mine earlier today, and I happened to give him some information about some stuff too. So it's all in alignment. I was watching a video the other day. No, it was actually last night. I was watching a video that someone had posted, and they were talking about getting out of the cycle of reincarnation and not having to come back to the earth and not having to incarnate on the earth again. And I really started to meditate on that. And lo and behold, I got a channel. And it really blew me away, because it put something in perspective for me that I had never really seen before, of course. Androgyny is a human construct designed to give us an understanding of unification of certain energies. But how I understand androgyny now is androgyny is actually the reunification of the soul and the subconscious mind. That great divide has caused us so much pain. It has caused us to search and to be looking for something that is missing. And what we're looking for is our soul. Because when the soul and the subconscious mind reunify, that is where you find paradise, heaven, bliss, etc. within the unification of the soul and the subconscious mind. The soul being the feminine aspect and the subconscious mind being the masculine aspect. Here is where I'm going with it. There was a movie on Amazon Prime called Bliss, and it was with Salma Hayek. I think that's how you say her name. And basically, Salma Hayek was the soul, and she came in contact with this man that she recognized as her soul mate, which he symbolically represented the subconscious mind. And she was trying to get him to see that he was caught up in the illusion of the physical world, the physical matrix. Okay? It's called Bliss. And some kind of way, they would take these little pebbles or little diamonds, and they would take these diamonds and they would some kind of way go into another realm, which was the real world, where they were actually very prominent people, very prominent doctors and scientists. Okay? But it was interesting because Salma Hayek was trying to get him to see you are caught up in the illusion. See, the subconscious mind, or at least aspects of the subconscious mind, is caught in the physical world. And that is the problem, because there's an aspect of the subconscious mind that is totally in the quantum world. But we're disconnected from the soul. And that is one of the main problems that we have as a people, I guess you could say, on a spiritual level. Our soul is always giving us signs. But the thing is, are we listening? And I don't mean listening with our ears. I mean listening with our hearts. Because see, your soul communicates with your heart, aka your mind. That is how our soul communicates with us, through the heart. That is why it's very important to do a lot of what people would call heart chakra work. And the chakras are nothing more than fragments of the subconscious. There are more than 7 chakras. Let me just say that. There are more than 7 chakras. Now, what I did was how I connected. Let me just say this first. Let me go back for a minute. The object in graduating or elevating to higher states of consciousness, or the goal, the way to do that, basically, the way to do that is to reconnect with your soul. And that is really the work that we should be down here trying to do. Reconnecting with your soul, because that is what's going to get you out of this matrix, out of the trap of reincarceration, as some people may call it. That is what is going to get you into a place where you no longer have to incarnate in physical lives and then die in pain and agony like we are all going to possibly go through, when we come towards the end of our life. The constant pain of life, physical life, and physical death. The way to escape that is by reconnecting with your soul. And what I did to do that, actually, was I had to really start examining my heart and examining myself, period. And I had to get honest with myself about a lot of things that was taking place, and a lot of my own insecurities and a lot of my own, shit that I just had to take a look at. Because a lot of people are not honest about their own shit. A lot of people are not honest about their own insecurities. They try to hide them. And hiding them only suppresses them. But what I did was, I changed how I thought about shit. I no longer took humanity seriously. Now, I know a lot of people say that, but when I say that, I'm simply saying this. I understand we're having a human experience, but I no longer attached myself to certain ideas and certain energies and frequencies. Like, for example, attaching myself to being a black gay man. Because even that type of thinking, I'm going to stick with that, even that type of thinking has caused a great deal of distraction. And it keeps you trapped in this matrix. Something as simple as that. So I had to change my thinking about family, about friends, and you have to be okay with people not liking you. You have to be okay with being alone sometimes, or a lot of the times, because you will be misunderstood, because the work that we're down here doing, or the work that you're down here doing, if you're really doing work to get out of this matrix, people around you are not going to understand you. So what I did was I changed my thinking about family, friends, and humanity in general. And that is why I say I'm not really attached to the LGBT community, because even being attached to that is a fucking distraction, and it keeps you trapped in the illusion of humanity. And it's a blockage from you trying to reconnect with your soul. See, in that movie Bliss, Selma Hayek, who was symbolic of the soul, she kept trying to get this man, who was symbolic of the subconscious mind, to see that everything that he was experiencing, being a father, his job, all of that shit, she was trying to get him to see that he was really caught up into the illusion. And her being a symbol for the soul, it really showed you how the soul tries to communicate with our subconscious to get us to understand that we're only having a human experience. But a lot of times we're so wrapped up into this matrix that we really don't see it. I'm proof of that. I was so wrapped up into the abuse that I had been through at the hands of the black community, the so-called anti-gay rhetoric that is specifically targeted towards gay black men from black men in the black community, and just the degradation and everything that I had been through in this human experience has been a distraction for me. Even, down to some experiences that I've had here on YouTube with certain people, you know what I mean? But that's neither here nor there. The point that I'm making is this. I had to change my thinking in order to reconnect with my soul, or even to start that process. Because once you start the process, you're pretty much on the right track. Once you start the process. And it really takes being honest with yourself. It really takes being honest with yourself and really doing a lot of introspection of your mind and your heart. And once again, being honest with yourself and disconnecting from humanity in the sense, not in the sense where you just shut everybody out and you just be a mute, nothing like that, because we are still having a human experience. But just don't get caught up in, like Anita Baker said, don't get caught up in the rapture, or don't get caught up in the distractions. You understand what I'm saying? We are all a form of drug addicts in a sense. Not in the sense of taking drugs per se, and maybe that's the wrong terminology, but follow me, and I'm not saying people are no drug addicts, so don't take it like that. But what I'm saying is this: we all deal with we're all trying to get back to that bliss. That is what a lot of this work, even in our ignorance, is about. And I remember something that Bobby Hemmett said one time when someone asked him about homosexuality. He said that homosexuality should not be looked at as anything great, as any other. How did he put it? It was a certain term he used. Wait a minute. He said that homosexuality should not be looked at. It shouldn't be looked at differently, basically. Differently than any other trauma that we've endured as black people here on this planet. And I get what he's saying now. At first, I didn't understand what he was saying, but what he's saying, what I'm going to interpret how I took that, being what people would call a homosexual. We all are doing something to try to get back to that blissful nature, that connection with our soul. We're all trying to reconnect with, or reunify with our soul. Some people use drugs to do that. Some of the drugs they use may be crack. Some people may use marijuana. Some people use sex. Some people use homosexual sex to get back. And even in the ignorance of doing all of those things, we're trying to reach a state of consciousness to give us a certain blissful feeling. And we're trying to reach that state of consciousness that we once had before we had flesh. They say that the people that smoke crack, and I was raised around crackheads and drug addicts my entire life. I had them in my family. Now, I never done any drugs or no shit like that, but I'm not judging, because I have a clear understanding of what they were really trying to do. And I'm not promoting no drug use, but I understand what they were trying to do, even in their ignorance and even with all of the debauchery that goes with it. But I understand what they were trying to do. They say that the first hit of crack that someone does, it's like them beaming up to Scotty. And in that movie Bliss, those little pebbles that Salma Hayek and that guy was using, it kind of looked like crack rocks. And they would shoot it up their nose some kind of way. A lot of people who smoke crack say that that first hit is the best high that they will ever get. And they're constantly trying to get that feeling again. And that is why they get hooked on crack. Because what they're trying to do, when they say they're beaming up to Scotty, I didn't get it at first, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to reconnect with their soul. They're trying to reconnect with their soul. And I get that now. And in some shape or form, we are all trying to reconnect with our soul, whether it be through drugs, whether it be through certain forms of magic, whether it be through homosexual sex. So when people say that, oh, it's a dysfunction, oh, it's a mental illness, well, they say the same things about people that are on drugs. And I think that is what Mr. Hemmett was really trying to say. He was saying that nothing should be looked at as worse than that or worse than this, because all of this shit is part of the trauma in trying to get back to that blissful nature from which we came from in the first place, which is being unified with the soul, which is the subconscious mind being reconnected or reunified with the soul to create that androgyny. Androgyny is the only way out. That's the only way out of this matrix, is androgyny. That is the only way out. And that's really all I had to say. That's really all I had to say. But like I said, you have to distance yourself from humanity as much as possible. And again, I'm not talking about anything unreasonable. We have to pay our bills. We have to work. We have to eat. We're going to have a human experience until we no longer have human bodies when we die, because we all are going to die at some day. We're going to die. But the question is when you die, are you going to come back? Are you going to reincarnate again into the physical world in the reincarceration of life and then death? Or are you going to go to a higher place, a higher state of consciousness where you won't have to do that? That's the question. That is the question. And if you're not reconnecting with your soul, then chances are you're going to come back to this matrix. See, I'm reconnecting with my soul. I'm communicating with my soul. I have actually seen, I guess you can say, my soul. I've seen it. I've communicated with it. It's communicating with me. And the way that I did it, let me say it once again, the way that I did it was by letting go of humanity. Letting go of humanity. And in a way, that's like stop actually caring. Stop caring. But anyway, that's all I really had to say. I don't have too much more to say. I knew this was going to be a short video, but I'll be back with some more shit, But anyway, that's all I have to say.